Welcome to Now Go Lead, the podcast where we help you level up your leadership in just 5 minutes. Each episode, we provide inspiring stories and actionable insights to help you lead with confidence and clarity. Whether you're a seasoned leader or just starting out, our goal is to give you the tools and motivation to level up your leadership game. There were once two farmers who had been growing and harvesting their land for many generations. One year, during a particularly bad season, both farmers were hit hard by drought and pestilence. Times became so hard that they both had to lay off farmhands and pull from their reserves just to put food on the table. Nevertheless, they were both able to survive the winter and each began planning for the spring season of planting seeds. The first farmer looked back on his many years of success and understood that the best path forward would be to plant his seeds as he had always done and put in the work to make sure that the harvest would be plentiful in the fall. He reasoned that the cost involved in rehiring help and buying new quality seeds could easily be recouped even with a modest harvest. However, the second farmer was worried about another season of bad weather. He reasoned that the cost investment to buy seeds as he had done in the past might not pay off. So instead, he chose to spend only half of the money he would normally invest in planting. By planning half of his normal investment, he knew he could probably do the work himself and not have to hire additional help. And even further, he opted to buy some less expensive seeds than in years past, which was an easy way to keep some additional money in the bank. That way, if things went poorly again, at least he wouldn't be left with nothing. Summer passed, and even though the growing season was not as successful as he had hoped, it was a huge improvement from the previous year. The first farmer was able to sell his produce, replenish his reserves, and pay for the additional staff. The margins were lower than he wanted, but overall not a bad year. The second farmer had a much different result. By only planting half of his fields, his yield was much lower than normal. The mediocre seeds he had planted ended up requiring much more water and were less resistant to tough growing conditions. Even more, because he had decided to do the work on his own, he had no time to focus on other critical tasks required for running the farm. Having spent his reserves on water and with no other options, the second farmer ended up selling half of his land to the first farmer just to survive. He never ended up getting out of the cycle of loss and eventually sold out completely and joined the other farmer as a work hand. Take 5 minutes and consider, which farmer am I? Am I leading my organization forward and planting the seeds for success? Have I let a tough or painful season of the journey affect my decision-making? Have I retreated and made compromises that are putting my organization into a continual cycle of erosion and loss? I think it's important to point out that I don't believe either of these farmers were foolish per se. In fact, depending on your own proclivities, you may find yourself aligned to the thinking of one or the other. Also, that the reality that transpired was not what either of them expected. The thing to take away here is that your expectations for the future need to be in alignment with your planning and strategy. Do not expect to reap abundantly when you plan for failure. If you sow seeds of mediocrity and limit your investment, you can expect commensurate results. However, over the long term, those that are willing to make greater investments will eventually gain the opportunity to become greater than they ever dreamed possible. I mean, what did you expect? It's time to now go lead. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Now Go Lead. Join us next week as we cover a brand new leadership topic and help you level up your leadership in just 5 minutes. For more resources, tips, and inspiration, visit our website at nowgolead.com. You can also connect with us on Instagram at NowGoLead and on LinkedIn. We would love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps us grow and reach more leaders like you. Also, don't forget to share this podcast with your colleagues and friends who are on their own leadership journey. Now Go, Lead is produced by HP Engineering Studios in beautiful Northwest Arkansas. Now go, lead.